Yes. Welcome back to Sports Day. Sats and Rad here on a Monday night. And this man, well, he's one of the favourites on our show. He's one of my favourites.
Yes.
I know that. A great guy, but what a coach he is. And he's been given a group of athletes at the Brisbane Broncos, which admittedly 2024 was disappointing. But there's only an upside when it comes to the Broncos
there,
for
mate.
2025. Yeah, he
there.
joins us on the line, head coach of the Broncos, Michael Maguire. How are you, Madge?
Good, Sats. How are you, mate?
Very well, very well. Now, beating Queensland in an Origin, now sharing a Queensland postcode. How are you enjoying South East Queensland?
There's been some good banter, put it that way. I think people look at me twice and they're not quite sure at times what to say, but it was only probably 2 or 3 months ago where they were getting stuck in, so hopefully I'll come round.
Any booze in the street yet or not? No?
Oh, I've had a few, don't worry. It's, it's good. It's good banter. It just goes to show what the game means up here. I mean,
exactly.
Gee, they really love their rugby league. And that's one thing, being in and around Brisbane, and they are fanatical, and I can understand why it's such great support up here. The people get right behind it, and they're very passionate.
Hey, Madge, give us an insight into a new coach going into a club for the first time. How much research goes into the playing group? Their training values, some of their personalities, what role they play in a team. Do you do a lot of that before you get into a club, or is it just form your own opinion from day one?
Yeah, so I probably tend to form my own opinion. I mean, I've watched a lot of these players, and you watch them come through in the young years, and because I do watch a lot of footy, and I'm just a fanatical fan, I suppose, or a coach that watches different players coming through. But I like to make my own judgments on the person themselves, and I judge them for who they are in front of me. And every environment creates a different opportunity for a player, and I like to create my own environment, and how they act and move inside that environment creates the team. So I guess I'm probably more of a person who'll come in and get a bit more of an understanding of the person before I make any judgments.
Yeah, I love that, Madge. I love that about a coach, to make their judgment based on what they see and what they feel. Now, Madge, the Brisbane Broncos, they've dominated news cycles in South East Queensland since 1988. They've had so much focus on them, not having to share like the Sydney clubs. They've changed a little bit now with the Dolphins and the Titans and so on. But is it something you expected, the Blowtorch, to be on you so full on when you first arrived? Because I tell you what, you've been in the news a lot.
Yeah, well, Matty, I don't probably tend to look at a lot of it, but it's very similar in most clubs. It's obviously big up here, but it's very big down in Sydney, and I've been fortunate to be a part of some big clubs in my walks of life, and this is much the same, but the fans, and we do get big crowds, which is unreal. I can't wait to think that I'm going to a game of rugby league and you're going to have a consistent 40,000 plus fan base coming to your game. That's pretty special, which I have had before. So that there is a lot of similarities, but we want to make sure that we play a really good brand of footy, a tough game, and then the fans can get behind it. I think that's a very big part of what team's all about, is you're playing for your fans and your people, and when you're doing that, then you get a lot more enjoyment out of it because everyone gets behind you.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And you certainly got plenty of support being a Brisbane Broncos coach. Now, is there a player from the Broncos that you've coached against, but you never knew much about, that in your short term there now has really impressed you?
Oh, that's a really good one. I've got to say that the boys have jumped into training. I've really enjoyed it. It's actually been a whole lot of fun. I've probably missed it, boys, to be honest, the day-to-day stuff, because I really enjoy building a player, and from the we've had some young guys sort of come in and they've never faced full-time training, and literally in 2 or 3 weeks those guys have improved. So then we've got the next group, the more senior guys that have been around a little bit, come in, and they're setting their own standards, and they're pretty hungry. Obviously, been bumped around a little bit over the last little period of time, so they've come in heads focused and training really hard. So there's probably not one player that I'd like to just isolate. I actually think they're all, as a group, have come in and they've got their heads down and they're working, and that's what you're meant to do at this time of year. I mean, we're doing no different to what the successful teams are doing. It's about how you apply yourselves every day. It's nice to see that the boys are getting behind the work that's been put in front of them.
Hey, Madge, sometimes as a coach, I've always found it a really good practice to look at the team from an outsider and how they are viewed if you're trying to prepare against the Brisbane Broncos. So what would other sides, do you think, have been saying about the Brisbane Broncos based on their 2024 year? What would they say about them that you've got to improve?
Yeah, Scotty, you look at numbers and you can look at results and things like that, and if you go back a period of time ago, they were excelling. So it's inside the group. Probably the last sort of period, just around the defence side of things, we need to be stronger and the effort areas of what you do inside the defence, but also too when you got the ball, how you support each other. So I guess looking from afar, there's areas that I like to have in the style of how we're going to play, and it will be different to what you've seen. But also too a team that wants to work really hard for their teammates. I'm big on effort, and big on helping each other, and the various characters that we have here, and someone like I guess a Kobe Hetherington, it was talked about a bit. He's a style of player that I do enjoy. That you've got to do the tough stuff of the game. You've got to do all the little areas of the game really well, because that's what's going to create the bigger opportunities. And that then creates the opportunity for an individual who has a fair bit of talent. And we're fortunate to have a few of those boys. Yeah,
Madge, you certainly do, and you need those players, don't you? The guys that are prepared to grit their teeth.
It doesn't surprise me that Kobe Hetherington was told to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wanted to ask you, Madge. There was so much talk about how hard, a pre-season under you is, and you see the likes of Betty Teo coming out and talking about those days back in South, and almost like the community was sort of scared for these young Broncos and what they were up for. How have they handled it, and how hard has it been for them?
Oh, geez, boys, I probably have to let everyone else make that opinion, but for myself personally, what I've seen across my walks of life is that teams that are training the way we are have found their way to success. Yep. I've been able to mix around quite a number of the players across the competition, and you can understand why the players that are winning competitions at this present moment, they train hard. It's simple as that. It's actually quite easy. It's finding the players that want to move towards that, and if they do, then they'll find themselves getting success. So, we're not doing anything different or outside the box that those teams that are winning competitions are doing. We're just doing what's expected to be able to put ourselves into the arena of being able to do that. People here talk about tough training. Well, all these players have been, and they actually get a lot of enjoyment, once you get through them, because you're going to improve off the back of it. So if they keep moving in that direction, well, there's plenty of upside in what we can achieve.
It's a pretty easy model in rugby league, the history of rugby league, isn't it?
Bang on, isn't it?
Hey, now, realise there's
Well, you two boys, I'm sure you two boys would attest to that. You two are very successful in what you've done, and I bet there was a fair bit of hard work that's been done in the background to be able to create that. So it's a pretty easy formula.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder for Sats. He's got to sit next to me every day now, Madge, so hard work continues.
You know what, it's...
He's going right.
Yeah, it's getting players to be obsessed about the game. There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to be obsessed, So...
I'm with you, boys. Because that's what makes the best, because they want to improve and they want to get better, and they're the style of player that I've always seen move into premiership winning teams. So if I can find a few more of those in and around this group, then they can keep growing.
It must drive you insane, Madge, because it certainly does me when you see a young player and they're getting interviewed and they talk about, oh no, I don't watch footy, and it's like that's the cool thing to be. It's like that's so far from what we want as an elite athlete.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to run around and go to universities and all that sort of to learn, mate. We can watch footy all day, every day. It's one of the best jobs in the world. I don't quite understand that analogy of kids not wanting to watch. Watch everything and become the greatest. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we know there's a process to play out, so we're not going to get you to comment on that. But with Ezra as a coach, are you resigned to maybe not having him there for a portion of the season at worst?
Yeah, it's obviously running through a process, and we have to work with everyone that's involved to get Ez, one back as a young man living in life and doing well, and he's doing a lot of work in the background to make sure that he can be better in the areas that obviously he's going through at the moment. So, we'll wait and see what happens there. I think at the end of the day, the game will understand what he's going through at the moment and what he's doing for himself to make sure he improves and he never falls back into this space, which there's a hell of a lot that's been going on from his point of view, which has been great.
Hey, Madge, you had him at Origin level, but day to day, is Payne Haas a player that you just can't wait to be involved with every day?
Yes, that's. I mean, you and I were talking before this conversation. I get to see it daily now. I saw it live when I was in the Origin space, and Payno's still learning and growing, in what he's doing, and he was able to see quite a number of the players in that Origin sort of time of how they prepared, and I've got to say he's added a hell of a lot more to where he's at now, and to see him train, he's an incredible human being. But he wants to do it on the park, and he wants to do that through his actions and how he plays. So I'm looking forward to good pre-season with Payno, and he himself understands that his position in the team as a leader. That's got growth areas, and he's working really hard in that space as well.
Nice.
Now, Madge, the Ben Hunt situation. It's have you got a scoop for us? Are you confident he's going to return to Brisbane? I mean, the two Sydney clubs seem to have dropped out. It's a race between you and the Dolphins.
I was hoping you guys might be able to tell me. Look, the club itself, I don't want to say too much because I don't make too many comments, but the club itself is obviously shown. I've been really impressed with the process and how it's gone about. And you see it happen in many different ways. But look, if we're fortunate enough to land someone of Benny Hunt's calibre, it'd be pretty special. He's a special human being. He's achieved a lot in the game. All I hear about from his time in the Australian camp is that he was one of the greatest leaders in that camp, and he didn't even play. So that says a lot about a person. Having someone of that stature in and around the group would be pretty great.
Yeah, I will agree with you 100% there. He gets a little bit of criticism for being in the media a lot, but it's not Ben Hunt. It's journalists. It's I don't know who it is making comment, but he seems like such a nice young man. He doesn't talk out of school, keeps his cards close to his chest, and he'll talk when a decision's been made. And that's the sort of player you want in your environment.
Yeah. Oh, I agree, Matty. I mean, he'll be able to show the younger players or even some of the senior players, sometimes whether or not you're an old or young, you can help reminding each other about what you want to achieve. And, he's a player of that stature that, he, as you said, he seems to get a lot of media attention, but, he likes to do it through his actions. I guess that allows people to say what they like.
Hey, Madge, now a couple of off Brisbane Bronco topic questions here. I've been watching the Chasing Glory South Sydney doco, 10-year anniversary. Congratulations on 2014. It was well done really by Brad Ryder and the club.
Special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Now, that team in 2014, you had so many superstars in that side. I'm starting to get goosebumps talking about this guy, but it's these unheralded players that when I'm watching this doco, how much a guy like Jason Clark, how important he was to that playing group.
Yeah, I call Clarkie the glue. He was a player that had to be at his best every single day, and I was fortunate to have, that playing group. There were different times where we had to go with someone different, but Clarkie and there's a few other players sort of probably in his realms, and Benny Lowe, and I could name a couple there, or even not a few of them, that because I had the luxury or the greatness of choice, I had to pick who was at their best every single day. And someone like Clarkie, he just squeezed every ounce he could possibly get out of himself every single day. And then to see them go on and, achieve, and unfortunately, mate, the hard part is, as a coach, you have to leave some of them out too, which it hurts, but you can only pick 17. There was probably 20 players that I could have selected within that 17 because they played a massive part in us being able to get to that, to achieve the glory of winning a grand final. So it wasn't just Clarkie. There was many others there that were rolling around probably in that space. But if you don't have players like that, you don't win.
Yeah.
You have your sprinkling of the stars, but those are the guys that I call the glue. They're the ones that really, make the culture of the team because they're having to go above and beyond every day.
And you mentioned one earlier on, Kobe Hetherington falls into that space as well. He's a pretty important player. Hey, Madge, another one, family related. Now, your daughter is a very good netball player. Isn't she? That's right.
Yeah, she does play a little bit of netball.
Okay, so you identify what success looks like through hard work. So when you're a father with your daughter who is a very good netball player, and I'm led to believe very, very good.
Yeah, teach me, Madge. I need to know.
So do you put the coach's hat on, or are you completely different when it's like adjudicating your daughter and her, preparation and her performance?
Well, that's a really good one. You've got to be very careful as a parent. There's so many other facets to your life.
Yeah.
But look, I like to help, but I make sure I don't cross the line. 'Cause, they pretty well short me up pretty quick if I step over the line. So But family life's unreal. I'm very fortunate. I've got some good kids, and they work really hard. And I guess, they, like all of us, you want your kids to look at you and see how you worked, and if they can take any qualities out of that, I hope it's the hard work.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, Madge, you're in charge of one of the most powerful clubs in the NRL, and for all signs so far have been very positive in those first few weeks. And we want to thank you very much for taking time out to join us on Sports Day.
It's always great to chat, boys. Good on your sets. Thanks, Matty. Really appreciate it.